Good evening, everyone, and welcome to SUNY Plattsburgh's online psychology session. My name is Rayanne. I'll be your host this evening. I do work in the admissions office at SUNY Plattsburgh, and I'm joined tonight by a few people. Currently, right now, we have Dr. Dunham, as well as an alum, Andrea. So maybe if the two of you wouldn't mind taking this opportunity to just introduce yourselves, maybe explaining your role on campus, and Andrea, maybe when you graduated and what you've been up to since graduation.
So I'm Dr. Dunham. I'm an associate professor of psychology, and I'm also one of the department co-chairs. And so I'm here to answer questions about the curriculum or opportunities for students in our program and, how the courses work and opportunities to get involved with faculty research and internships, that kind of thing, if you're interested.
I'm Andrea Martino-Mott, and I graduated from the psychology department in 2009. I am currently a behavior analyst working with kids with autism spectrum disorders, and I'm also an adjunct lecturer in the psychology department here currently.
Great, thank you. And so you both know, you all know, we are joined by two additional current students in the psychology program here, Ashley and Aaron, and they'll be joining us a little bit later on in this presentation. So to kind of give you an overview of what to expect tonight, I'll spend the first 10 minutes or so giving a presentation about the psychology field overall. I've worked alongside our Career Development Center here, our CDC, to get some good statistics and do some good research on the psychology field in general, job titles that you could have, job growth rates within certain fields, salaries, things like that. So I'm excited to share that with you. After that, we'll transition on into focusing a little bit more on psychology at SUNY Plattsburgh, and that's where our alum and our faculty members will come into play, and they'll be here to answer any questions that you have about psychology at Plattsburgh. They're a great resource, and we're so lucky to have them here, so definitely utilize that time and ask any questions that you can think of in that chat box that you see on your screen, and I'll be monitoring that throughout the night. About halfway through, we will switch out with our two currently enrolled students here. So any questions you have that you think would be better suited for the students, at that point you can ask those questions, again, using that chat box feature. I'll be monitoring those and happy to facilitate those discussions. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on my portion of this presentation. So as admissions professionals, a lot of the questions that we get asked are, what could I do with that major? What could I do with that degree? And psychology is no different. So what I've done here is just compile a list, and based on which educational level you would like to achieve, whether that is a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a doctorate degree, and also which area that you would like to work in, you could find yourself in a number of these different job titles. So for example, if you're interested in working in an educational setting, you could become a child care worker, school psychologist, school counselor, college professor. If you're interested in working in more of a counseling-based setting, you could become a substance abuse counselor, community counselor, mental health counselor, clinical social worker, or behavior analyst. If you find that you're more interested in the research part of psychology, you could become a research associate, statistical consultant, marketing research director, technical writer, or if you're interested in more of a business setting, you could become an admissions recruiter, similar to the job that I'm doing. You could become a staff trainer for businesses, insurance agent, business administrator, or you could be in customer relations. So this certainly is not an exhaustive list of all of the different types of things you could do with a psychology degree, but I think it's good to give you real tangible outcomes of what you could have if you were to move forward with a psychology degree here. So what I've done next is actually handpicked a few of those jobs so we could delve a little deeper into specifically, what you would do with those jobs, what the job outlook is like, as well as the median salaries. So most of this information comes from the United States Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is known as kind of being the most reliable source for this type of thing. I've included a reference slide a little bit later on in this presentation, so if any of this looks interesting and you want to go online and check it out for yourself, I definitely encourage you to do that as well. So the first job I've selected here is substance abuse and behavioral disorder counselor. So they advise people who suffer from alcoholism, drug addiction, eating disorders, or other behavioral problems. They provide treatment and support to help the client recover from addiction or modify problem behaviors. The job outlook by 2024 here is at a 22% growth, which is huge. To give you some frame of reference, the average growth for other jobs by 2024 is an 8% growth, so there's a lot of demand in this field. The median salary last year was just about $40,000 per year. Now, the next job I've chosen to highlight here is a social worker. So they help people solve and cope with problems in their everyday life. Clinical social workers also diagnose and treat mental, behavioral, and emotional issues. The job outlook by 2024 here is at a 12% growth, which is still definitely above that national average. And the median pay last year was close to $46,000 per year. Now, the next job I've selected is a school psychologist. They diagnose and treat mental disorders, learning disabilities, and cognitive, behavioral, and emotional problems using individual, child, family, and group therapies. They may design and implement behavior modification programs as well. There's a 20% growth in this job field by 2024, and the median salary for a 200-day contract worker was a little over $71,000 per year, or a little over $64,000 per year for a 180-day contract worker. Now, if you're interested in more of that kind of business segment of psychology, you could become a market research analyst. They study market conditions to examine potential sales of a product or service. They help companies understand what products people want, who will buy them, and at what price. There's a 19% growth in this job title by the year 2024, and the median salary last year was just over $62,000 per year. The last job I've chosen to highlight here is a mental health counselor and marriage/family therapist. So they help people manage and overcome mental and emotional disorders and problems with family and other relationships. They listen to clients and ask questions to help the clients understand their problems and develop strategies to improve their lives. There's also a 19% growth within this job title by the year 2024, and the median salary last year was just over $43,000 per year. So at this point, I'd like to transition on and focus a little bit more on psychology specifically at SUNY Plattsburgh. So what we always like to say is that these are a broad-based program. So you're going to be learning about a variety of different subfields within psychology, such as social psychology, abnormal, cognitive, biological, and developmental psychology. So it really gives you a good base and a good understanding of all of the different subfields within psychology, and it allows you to kind of find what you're most interested in within the psychology field. Something at SUNY Plattsburgh that we really pride ourselves in across the board, but certainly within psychology as well, is number one, the opportunity to work one-on-one with faculty members doing their research. So there's a 16-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio at SUNY Plattsburgh. Average class size is about 22 students per class. One of the many benefits to that is that if students would like to, they can get to know their professors and they can help them and work alongside them on their research. Also, there's lots of hands-on learning experiences throughout campus across all majors, but definitely psychology is no different. We have a wonderful center for neurobehavioral health, which services the local community, and all of the people that we have here tonight can definitely go into more depth with that. So I think that would be a great transitional point. I know one of the most common questions we get here is what internship opportunities are there and what hands-on learning opportunities are there right on campus?
Right, right. So we have, and we really value as a department and as a faculty, value the opportunities that students have to do what we call experiential courses, where they're getting experience outside the classroom. These are optional in the major, so they're not a required part of the major. But many students take part in them. Many students take part in more than one of them. Many students start to take part in these quite early in their degree as well, particularly if they're performing at a very high level academically and also demonstrating themselves to be mature and professional and motivated. So we do have an internship opportunity, an internship course, and students that are juniors or seniors could be placed in a variety of programs, in fact, that are right here on campus, part of the Center for Neurobehavioral Health. That would include opportunities such as our Nexus program, which Andrea is actually Associate Director for, which serves children on the autism spectrum. We have a center that we call the Third Age Center, which serves adults with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. We also have a traumatic brain injury program that serves adults with different levels of brain injury, and students can have internship opportunities in those different sites that are right on campus. Off campus, we also have a variety of placements, various elementary schools in Plattsburgh and in the surrounding area, the inpatient psychiatric unit at our area hospital, an area prison, various community agencies, things like services for victims of domestic violence, or outpatient programs for individuals with substance abuse problems. These are just a few samples. And so there are many different kinds of internship opportunities working with mental health professionals of different backgrounds and different populations. Another popular experiential course or opportunity to gain hands-on experience in the psychology department is through doing research with a faculty member. So this is another experience that you can get academic credit for. You can also get academic credit for an internship towards your degree. And so students can do research with full-time faculty and participate in designing and developing a study, carrying out the study. They often participate in analyzing the results and even go to regional, national, and even international conferences to present those results. And we have sources of funding on campus that are specifically designed to help students with the travel to those conferences, which is a really great opportunity. You can go rub elbows, with researchers in your field. We also have teaching apprenticeships where a student that has done well in a course can help the faculty member with providing, tutoring services to students, review sessions, helping out with class activities, helping the faculty member to, to prepare and run a lot of different student-related activities within the course or even outside of the classroom. So those are some of the out-of-class or experiential opportunities that our students can do. And again, they're optional. They're popular. They give students lots and lots of benefits. And they are credit-bearing experiences that really can supplement and expand on the coursework that you do as a psychology major.
Great, thank you. And Andrea, do you mind kind of expanding on that and talking about your own personal experiences with that?
So I was both a research assistant and part of the teaching practicum as well. So I was a teaching assistant for, I believe, 2 faculty members, and I was a research assistant for 2 faculty members as well. So in different capacities for different courses and in different areas of psychology. And actually the second research assistantship that I helped with really helped me kind of figure out what I wanted to do career-wise and really kind of open my eyes to what that might look like and what that might entail. So it was actually very beneficial for me deciding what my future was going to be. Very helpful.
All right, another question we get quite a bit is if you could describe maybe certain courses that you teach at Plattsburgh and certain courses that you've taken in the psychology that really stand out in your mind.
Right. So we have an introductory course, Psych 101 as we call it, or general psychology, and then you move into a research methods and statistics, a pair of courses that in fact provide really general marketable skills. So having good quantitative skills, having good research and writing skills, that can help you in so many different careers, not just what you might think of as the traditional psychology career path. And then we have courses that represent the major areas within psychology. There are 5 required courses in 5 very different areas of psychology that really give you a broad-based understanding. And then there are advanced, what we call upper division courses, where you get to choose. And you choose 3 from different areas, and so you get to delve even deeper into a particular topic area. And those upper level classes are smaller, and so there's more opportunity for interaction in the classroom and interaction with the faculty member and really delving deeply into the content. So I myself teach a general psychology course, and I teach our internship course, which is mostly juniors and seniors. And Andrea mentioned or in her introduction that she's an adjunct instructor for us. So when she completed her psychology degree here at Plattsburgh, she completed a master's degree at Sage Colleges. And so she was then able to return to us and teach with that master's degree. So I'll let her speak to the classes that she's been teaching for us.
So first the classes I took, so I had to take all the prereq courses for psychology, and then when I got to choose the upper level courses, I chose like the child psychology classes, the autism classes, because that's kind of where I knew I wanted to go. So that was very helpful, being able to choose and kind of learn about what you want to learn about in more detail. And so currently I am teaching Psych 101 as well, which is really just a general overview of everything in the psychology department, so you kind of just like brush the surface of it all. And I'm also teaching human development, and then in the spring I teach childhood, infancy and childhood. So that is like the beginning of human development in a smaller, more detailed course.
And this is kind of a fun question, but what would be your most favorite class that you teach right now and why?
Okay, all right, I'll tell you my most favorite class that I took was research methods, followed by personality. Those are the two best. And then my favorite class that I teach is human development. I love it. It's like my favorite topic. It's so interesting. It's so relevant to what I do too. So I like discussing that one.
What about you? Did you have a favorite class that you are involved with?
I like teaching intro because it's a wide variety of students. They're not all psychology majors. They're also, even though it's an intro-level course, there are sometimes juniors and seniors taking it as a general education requirement. And so it's a really mixed audience. They bring a lot of different perspectives, and they, I try to make it interesting and lively and show them lots of real-life examples and try to get them involved so that they really engage with the material. And so I think that would be my favorite one to teach for sure.
Cool. Well, since we can't have all of our faculty here tonight, is there anything that you'd like to say about our other faculty members within psychology, what they're up to with their research?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have 13 full-time faculty here at the main campus. We also have a branch campus program in Queensbury. So when I refer to the main campus, that's what I'm referring to. And our faculty are very diverse in their backgrounds and in their interests. We have developmental psychologists who study different aspects of child development. We have social psychologists who study different forms of behavior change and attitudes and things of that sort. We actually have a faculty member who does work on ways to change people's behaviors that relate to the environment, so energy use and littering and those kinds of things. And she is actually called on by New York State, the Energy Redevelopment Authority specifically, to help advise them about how to effectively change the public's behaviors with respect to energy use. So her expertise is being used at the state level. And we have faculty that are involved in our Center for Neurobehavioral Health. Dr. Patricia Egan, who is our autism expert and runs the Nexus program, which is a program for children on the autism spectrum. As I mentioned earlier, Andrea is the associate director. And she has many years of experience working with children with many different kinds of developmental issues, including autism. So she's just a wealth of knowledge for students who would like to work with children in particular. So we also have faculty that do research that is more cognitively oriented, so visual perception, reading. We have a faculty member who is looking at various factors about the presentation of text and people that have low vision, who have some kind of visual impairment. So that really has a lot of value for individuals out there in the real world who have those kinds of difficulties. So we have, even though we're not a huge department by some, larger university standards, we're a very active department in our scholarship and our research, and we really value teaching and mentoring students too, for sure.
Great. So we just had a question come in. How early can I get involved in those internships or those hands-on experiences at Plattsburgh?
Right. So it's kind of a trade-off between getting involved early but being prepared for it. And so we do have some students that become involved, particularly in a research apprenticeship or a teaching apprenticeship, even sometimes as early as their sophomore year. Internships, you do have to be, to take an internship for credit, you have to be a junior. And so we often recommend that students in their junior year do start to try to fit in an internship before they get too far along. So there's sort of a, an ideal place where you've had enough coursework that you can be well prepared for these experiences, but also not waiting so late that you may not be able to fit in as much as you might like. So there's a, just like Goldilocks, there's a perfect spot, sort of the middle to the second to third year probably where it would be ideal.
Great, thank you.
I hope I answered the question.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So this is my last question for you. So if you all in the audience had any other questions, now is your last chance to definitely type those in and ask them. But my last question for you is, the students listening in right now are probably around 16 or 17, and they're trying to make their decision if psychology is the right field for them to get into. So what was it that drew the two of you to get into the psychology field, and what do you like most about being in it?
Right, right. So what I tell students is that psychology prepares you to do lots of different things. And it isn't just counseling. It isn't just, you know, doing therapy or assessment. It's lots of different things, and it gives you skills that you can use in a wide variety of areas. So I wanted to do work that helped people, not in a counseling capacity, but to do productive work that would help people, that would have real-world implications. So that's really what sort of called me to this field. So I'll let Andrea answer that question, too.
I kind of entered the field for the same reason. I wanted to be able to work with people, to help people, but I knew I didn't want to be a counselor either. So I didn't know what I wanted to do for sure in psychology when I first started in the psychology program. I declared it my major and I went with it, and I found, you know, there's so much to learn that, you know, you'll find something that you enjoy. And psychology really does. You can, you know, apply anything you learn from psychology to any aspect of your life. It doesn't have to be in your career, and it doesn't have to be in something 100% related to psychology. It applies to life every day. So, you know, just take the psychology classes. Just sign up for them. It's not going to hurt. You can only gain information and experience and knowledge from it. So.
All right, great. Well, would either of you have anything to add that you feel like you didn't get to cover about psychology at Plattsburgh? If not, do you have any advice for these students moving on into this next step?
Right. So one thing I always like to say to students considering coming to Plattsburgh and coming to psychology in particular, Rhiannon in her presentation mentioned the faculty-to-student ratio. I went to a much larger undergraduate institution, and it was very difficult to get to know faculty, to be mentored, to have them know me. So when I was seeking a teaching job, a faculty position, I wanted to be at a school of a size where I could know my students and they could know me. So that was what motivated me to come here, and I think that really the same you know, reasoning could be used by a student. And our students who graduate from our degree go on to a wide variety of fields with great success, and I think that's always important to know when you're choosing a program.
What about you? Any advice for students?
Oh, lots. Lots of advice for students. You know, really just think about what you want to do and think about all the avenues it can take you, and be open to the fact that it could change. Your mind could change as you start to take classes and you start to have different experiences that maybe you haven't had before. So just be open-minded in your decision process, you know, and don't be afraid to change your mind.
Great. Well, thank you both so much. So at this point, we're actually going to switch out with our two currently enrolled students here.
We have two great seniors who've been really involved in the major, and so that's why I invited them to come and speak to you. So that's just their
So take advantage of it while they're here and ask questions. We're very lucky to have everyone here tonight. All right. All right, guys, thanks for being here. So let's start with maybe just introducing yourselves. So if you could say your name, obviously we know your major, but maybe your hometown region, and then what year in school you are.
All right, my name is Aaron Lowe's. I am from Messina, New York. It's like upstate, so close to here, hour and a half away. And I'm, year, you said?
Yeah.
Senior year.
Yeah.
I'm Ashley Machetta. I'm a senior here, and I'm from Orange County, New York, which is about 4 hours south from here.
And you're a senior too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think a good place to start would be to talk about, again, the internship and hands-on experiences is always the most popular question. So maybe to talk about your own personal stories with that here at Plattsburgh.
Yeah. So, you know, talking about the TA positions and stuff like that, I did that starting out in my sophomore year, you know, making a base for myself, getting more comfortable in the major. And then my junior year, I did research. I participated in research in cognitive psychology, And then I was able to, my senior year, do an internship at the local hospital in the inpatient unit here.
Okay, where do I start? So when I got here, I just wanted to do a lot of hands-on things because that's how I learn best, is hands-on. So my advisor is Dr. Egan, and I kind of hounded her to get into the next program as soon as I could. So that's where I started. I did, I believe, 2 or 3 semesters at Nexus program, and then I moved up to being a TA for Psych 105. I'm also a TA for Andrea now for Psych 101. And I did an internship last semester, my junior year, at an elementary school and pre-K classroom, and now this year I'm at another internship at Adirondack Helping Hands.
Can you tell us what Nexus program means?
So Nexus is a program for kids with autism. It's kind of a weekend program to get them out here to, you know, socialize with other kids that have the autism spectrum disorder and be able to interact and develop skills so they can, you know, interact with other kids within their school districts and their classes and everyday life.
So you guys mentioned where you did your internships. Can you talk a little bit more in depth about specifically what you're doing and what you're learning there?
So my internship, I do it once a week. I go in for, 6 hours, and I do get credit for that. I'm getting 4 credits for it, and there's also another aspect on there that I meet once a week with the advisor, with a professor, Dr. Dunham actually, and we go through and we talk about our experiences that we've had that week or whatever. So I'm not on my own. Yes, I'm on my own at the site, learning and stuff like that, but I can actually apply that in a classroom setting where we define words, we go through and actually apply what we learned, and delve deeper into what we're learning. And they've been helpful in possible careers that I can go into with this experience, like what courses of study to do for my master's or whatever. So I really took this opportunity to get my internship to realize what I like and what I don't like. So I'm shadowing somebody that has the master's degree that I want, so I can get that applied learning and see, okay, like in a year or two, whatever, after my graduate program, this is the job that I could have. So being able to visualize that and seeing what everyday life is for them at their job.
So my last semester internship at the preschool, I learned that I didn't want to be a school psychologist. So it wasn't like it was a bad experience. It was a very good experience because I got a lot of hands-on time with the kids and learning with the school psychologists what they do and how they do it and things like that. So it definitely gave me a lot of information and gave me a good direction of where I want to be for when I graduate and go on to grad school. This semester being at Adirondack Helping Hands is more of a private school. It's still preschool kids. They have disabilities, some atypical developing kids, but I work with a lot of different people that have different occupations. So I'm exposed to like occupational therapists, psychologists, speech-language pathologists, so it gives me a broad range to talk to each one of them and figure out what they do and how they do it and why they do it, and then it gives me information and also the hands-on experience with the kids to help me further in my decision for where I want to do with the rest of my life.
Great, thank you. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about your own psychology journeys and what got you initially interested to major in psychology at Plattsburgh.
Generally, I knew, everybody says I want to help people. So I knew that I wanted to do some counseling of some sort. I didn't know if it was in a school setting or what that would look like, but I knew psychology, that's the major that I wanted to. And did you say why at Plattsburgh?
Yeah, why Plattsburgh?
So, being a first year student, whatever, I really wanted to come to a school that was kind of smaller, that I wasn't just a number, that I was a face, that I could have those interactions with the class sizes, that I could really have those interactions with professors and all that they have to offer. And it's been very beneficial so far.
Coming into Plattsburgh, I've originally wanted to just get away from home. But after coming here and being exposed and seeing the campus and seeing how we are within a community, which is very nice, I got to meet a lot of new people, different people. Like Aaron said, he worked close with a lot of his professors, and I do the same thing. So it's definitely better to be within a smaller community if that's how you feel. I mean, some people like the bigger, but I liked being in the smaller and being able to be a face and do all of the things that I do. Wanting to pursue psychology, I've always been around kids. I was always a babysitter, always loved kids. So I always knew I wanted to work with kids. Coming to school, I joined Colleges Against Cancer. So we raise awareness and money for the American Cancer Society, so kids and people who have cancer, we raise money. So that's kind of where my heart has taken me. So I want to work with kids that have cancer and things like that. So kind of along those lines, the whole campus as a whole and all of the clubs and psychology has brought me to knowing where I want to do with my life and things like that.
So take us through, you're both seniors now, but take us through maybe semester by semester examples of courses that you took so the students can kind of get that reference in their mind of how their progress will look here.
So starting out with the introductory course, Psychology 101, as they spoke about, taking that, and that gave me a wide variety of what the major had to offer, what courses and stuff, and then I went through and I took cognitive psychology and things that laid that framework for me, like social psychology, laid the framework for doing my internship and like actually getting to my senior year. And I think social psychology was the one that really gave me the framework of, it gave me the mindset of being, a psychology student or whatever, just having that in my everyday life. I think like a psychology student. I think it stems from that class, the systems of thinking and stuff like that. So I've taken a lot from, and I think that was my third semester here, so very early on, and that's helped me out through all of my, college career so far.
I took a different route. I obviously had to take Psych 101 first, but then I just started diving into all of my psychology classes and doing all of those as much as I could. I mean, it depends on which way you want to go. You could take the route and just take them one by one when you're supposed to, or you can do it early. I did the autism class, which is a junior seminar in my sophomore year, but I knew that I loved working with the kids with autism at Nexus, so I wanted to have that knowledge that Dr. Eakin, who teaches that class, gave us to help me in my Nexus program and help me advance and help the kids there. So I kind of took classes as needed. Last semester when I did my other internship, I took infancy and childhood class. So as I was at my internship, I was learning infancy and childhood throughout the class. So I kind of took classes that would relate to what I was doing within that semester.
So of all the classes you've taken so far now, what has been your favorite or what has been the most interesting for you, most memorable maybe, and why? What did you learn?
Like I said earlier, the social psychology course, because like I said, it changed the way I thought about everything. And they talked about a professor that that went through, and she actually tries to change people's behavior with usage of resources and stuff. And that's the professor that I had for that particular course. And just having such an influential person there, changing the way I think or whatever. Yeah, I think I lost track.
What about you? Favorite, most memorable class?
I guess it would have to be going back to the childhood and Nexus class, not Nexus class, autism class. I took the childhood class with Andrea, so she's rooting for me over on the sidelines. But like I said, just because those are what I'm interested in, so it really drew my attention when I was in class and paying attention, and I'm like, oh, okay, I could use that for the kids, or I can do this with that, and it just gave me so much information to hold on to, because it had, not that no class has no reason to learn things, but it helped me learn, all of the things that I need outside of the classroom.
Great. Okay, so we have a few questions here. Someone's asking if we have a 5-year program, a 3+2. We do not have any of those. We do have a few different master's degrees in the psychology field that you can continue on. I don't know, Dr. Dunham, if you want to come back and speak to those, or if you two, it's up to you guys.
What's the question?
3+2.
Yeah, so master's programs at a psychology
no.
level. You can come back. Yeah. We'll do one more switch. Yeah.
I can move.
So there's a question as to whether or not we have 5-year program, the 3+2. We do not. We, within the psychology department, have a master's in school psychology that's a nationally accredited master's program. But you finish your 4 years, and then there's a separate application process due in February of your senior year in order to start the program the following fall. So within psychology, we don't have a 3+2. The school psychology graduate program often does have SUNY Plattsburgh students. So usually in each graduate student class, there will be at least a few who have graduated from our undergraduate psychology program, but we also have students from around the state and other states as well in that graduate program.
You actually might be able to help with this one, too.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you know how many students enter the psychology.
Enter the psychology each year. So we are approximately 300 majors overall at the main campus for the whole 4-year group. The size of the incoming class, we have students entering in both the fall and the spring, and there could be as many in the fall, there could be as many as 80 or 90, both freshmen and transfer students. So students coming in straight from high school, but also students coming in who might have 1 year or 2 years from a community college or another university who come. The spring has a little smaller group, but still a healthy group coming in. I see that you're also asking if there's a limit on how many students are accepted. There is not. If you're accepted into the college, you're accepted into the psychology major if you declare it as an incoming student. So hopefully I answered that question.
Yes, thank you. We also have one more, and it's kind of an interesting question.
Okay.
So it says, in light of the world becoming more digitized and computers and other technology progressing, where does psychology have a place in this? Mm-hmm. How technologically involved is psychology at this moment, and what's the expected growth for it?
So I think any major these days, there's more technology available in every field of work. And I know that some of our faculty are extremely skilled with different aspects of computer programming and writing code for web-based apps and various kinds of instructional programs that they actually do the programming themselves. And so we have a couple of faculty in particular who aren't just strong in their field of psychology, but also have very, very strong skills in that area. So we also, our graduate students, we applied for a grant that we were able to provide each incoming graduate student during they don't keep it forever, but during their graduate training, an iPad. And they're encouraged to make use of those iPads. There are different apps that they might find useful in the work that they do with children. And so there's a technological focus in that way. So I think that there are many, not necessarily just within our department, but in psychology in general, there's certainly a lot of research going on the interaction of humans with different forms of technology and its effect. So it's a big topic of research in the field for sure.
And we actually just got one more question in here. Is there a pathway to do forensic psychology?
This is a very common question, and I've actually helped a number of students over the years who had a forensic psychology interest. So what I typically advise students who have that interest is that they major in psychology, and they could either consider double majoring in criminal justice or perhaps having a minor in criminal justice. Those two, can marry very well together. And we have internship settings that relate to forensic psychology, including prison settings, probation, even the domestic violence victims program has a forensic spin to it in that they're often dealing with the court system with their abusive partners. And I've familiarized myself in order to try to help students with this interest with the different graduate program options in forensic psychology, and so that I can help the students to choose graduate programs to allow them to pursue that area. So it's a common question, and we certainly have learned a lot based on the students showing interest in that and how they could be assisted to pursue that goal for sure.
Great, thank you. I'm glad you stayed to answer the question.
Okay.
All right, if we want to do one more switch, we'll finish up with the students here. I just have a couple more slides. All right. Can you push in just a little, Ashley? Are we looking okay here with all of the switching going on?
Like looking right at me.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I have more questions for you. Number one, your clubs and organizations that you're involved with on campus. It could be psychology related, it could not be, but I think it's always interesting for prospective students to picture themselves getting involved on campus. So what are you guys involved in as far as that?
So me personally, I'm a resident assistant in a freshman building. I've done that this is my second year doing that. I'm actually the head RA, so it's a paid position. Yeah, so that, helps me with financially, one with getting free room and board, and then half off of my meal plan, so that's a good factor of it. And then it also is getting me experience in psychology because I'm working with first semester freshmen. So that's my motivation of why I did that. For the experience, it looks great on my resume. I'm also involved in my fraternity. I'm in Pi Kappa Phi fraternity. We do a lot with people with physical and mental disabilities, so raising money. I hold a position in that fraternity, doing the philanthropy, putting on events on campus and stuff like that. And I also have another job on campus within the fraternity and sorority life office, managing all of fraternity and sorority life and educating them. That's a full plate.
Yeah.
So coming into Plattsburgh, my schools had to have a dance team. So I am on dance corps, and I have been for the past 4 years. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of dancing, of course. We perform on campus. We're actually going to a competition soon to another school, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We put on our own dance recital at the end of the spring semester. So we work really hard to do a lot of dances and put it on for the campus, and it's a lot of fun. I've always loved dancing, done it since I was 3, so that's a big part of my life, to be able to continue it throughout my college career. I used to work in the Global Education Office, which helped me reach out and meet kids that are international students. I've done that since I was a freshman, and it was a lot of fun because I got to meet not just, our domestic students, but all the international students, which is a lot of fun, and I got to learn, diversity and things like that, so that was pretty cool. I'm also currently the president of Colleges Against Cancer. I mentioned it before. So, like I said, we raise awareness and raise money for the American Cancer Society, and we also put on Relay for Life, which is one of the largest events on campus. It's usually in April. We have over 1,000 people that attend, and we stay up for 12 hours to raise lots of money for the American Cancer Society and patients who have cancer to help them with their chemo and radiation and getting better. Last year we almost raised just about $60,000, so it's really awesome and it's a really rewarding club to be in. I'm also in Psi-Chi, which is the Psychology Honor Society, and I hold the position as treasurer. So with Psi-Chi, we are trying to do a couple more events, psychology related. We put on a review session for a senior psych exam, so all seniors have to take a senior psych exam to be able to graduate, so we're trying to help them out so we can all pass. We also want to do some movie nights and some career panels to help psych students know where they want to help them figure out where they want to go to grad school.
Great, thank you. My last question is going to be just very general, and it's going to be about housing because we always get asked that. They like to imagine themselves here, and since you are head RA, I was hoping you could speak a bit to that about the freshman housing situations and how that all works. Are you a RA in a freshman building?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I know they have like a community advocate and an RA on every floor, and they plan activities and stuff for them, so could you just kind of explain that?
So for all of housing, so we have 12 buildings. And there are 2 of them that are freshman buildings, first-year student buildings. And all throughout campus, there are RAs on the floors that really try to make that community. But we try to foster more of a community base right in your freshman year. So there's an RA, resident assistant, and then a community advocate on that floor. They team together, and they have a budget throughout the building. They have a budget on their floor that they get to do programming. This weekend I went apple picking with my floor, and so we just do a lot of things on the floor, like we can go over to Burlington and, you know, all of these things that we have opportunities. We have transportation, we have a budget, and really getting that home feeling because, you know, first semester freshmen coming, they're not involved in a lot of things, so they're on their floor, and you really need that support system. And so my quote-unquote job as an RA is to make sure that everybody's safe, to make sure that everybody is feeling at home, really creating those bonds, and it's a 24-hour job for me. Yes, there are other RAs and stuff that I can rely on, so if I'm not on my floor, they know that my residents know that they can go to other RAs and stuff like that. So, and it's really cool them seeing that I am a student. Like, I'm the authority figure, but at the end of the day, I'm a student. They can relate to me and getting all those personal connections and stuff, so make them feel at home.
Great, thank you. Is there any advice that you would like to leave these students with before I wrap up the presentation?
Advice?
Yeah, so they're probably juniors or seniors in high school. Yeah.
So when I was in your position thinking about college and stuff, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. You know, dead set, oh, this is the master's program I want. You don't need to come here knowing exactly what you want to do. That's what these professors are here for. They said 16-to-1 ratio, so you're really going to get those personal connections. You can come in and talk to them, and it's really, throughout my 4 years, I've figured out what I've wanted to do. I didn't know last year exactly what I wanted to do, but just, you know, experiences and stuff like that has brought me to the position of, you know, figuring that out. And just seeing us both compared together, we have had very different experiences in what the classes that we wanted to take. So you really get to make your experience, not just college, but also in the psychology major.
I agree with Erin. I would say put yourself out there. Come to school and don't just take the class. Go and if you have a question, raise your hand, talk to the professor, go meet with the professor, talk to your advisor. You will have an advisor that can help you with everything and anything. They'll point you in the right direction. Just don't be afraid to put yourself out there and open yourself up and try new things. It could be intimidating. You're at a new school, you're in a new place, you're not home, but make yourself home. Make this your home. I made this my home. I call Plattsburgh my home now. I'm never home at home. Like, I live here.
I visit home.
Yeah, I visit home and I live here. Yes. So it just, and get the experience that you want to experience. Everyone is going to want to have a different experience and be involved in different things, and that's okay. But do what you want to do, but don't be afraid to go get it and get it yourself. And if you want to do it early on, do it early on. Like, I wanted to do Nexus early on, and they were like, well, I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it, and I did it. So just things like that. So just put yourself out there and do it. That's all I had. Just do it. I feel like a Nike slogan. Just do it.
All right. Well, thank you guys both so much for being here. I just have 2 quick slides left that I wanted to get through. I mentioned earlier in this presentation I had a reference slide for you all. So if you're interested in logging on and seeing some of those statistics for yourself, definitely do that. And the last slide I have today is just to encourage you to visit campus. If anything that we said today intrigued you or interested you, your best bet would actually to come visit campus and see if it's a good fit for yourself. We have a couple of open houses coming up, Saturday, October 29th and November 12th. There'll be a full admissions presentation with a student panel. Dr. Dunham will be here, so we'll have academic breakout sessions for students specifically in psychology, so you'll actually get to meet with her, you get to meet with psychology students, you'll get shown around campus and things like that. So if that interests you at all, when I exit out of this presentation, you'll actually be brought to a website where you can register for that. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely take advantage of that. And that actually wraps up our presentation tonight. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking with you all tonight, and I hope you have a great night. Bye. Bye.